So, it's time to begin the charge. In case you didn't see the last part, here's the gimmick of this map. So, the enemies here who are fighting are just ordinary citizens of Crimea who have been convinced by Ludwig to fight for him. Their stats are pretty bad, and they'll die very easily to the majority of our army, especially Geoffrey and Kieran. You're willing to watch out though, because there are a couple of paladins mixed in with the chumps here, and the paladins are kind of dangerous, especially this guy right here with a horse slayer. But because these are just citizens of Crimea and not really trained soldiers, and that we also know from the earlier cutscene that they're just being treated as pawns by Ludwig, and also the fact that Alincia wants as many of them captured alive as possible, the goal of this chapter is to break through their lines, break down this door, kill the boss, and get Geoffrey to the seize point, while killing as few enemies as possible. I'm not going to be going for a full pacifist run here, but every enemy left alive by the end of the chapter is worth 200 bonus experience, which is quite a lot. And there are quite a lot of enemies to start the map. There's 50 of them in total. We also have 12 NPC knights who I'm going to have to put on avoid so they don't end up going for the enemies. There's a lot of enemies on this map, and this is really your first taste of the Radiant Dawn experience. Because from this point on, we're going to be having a lot of units on every map. They really push the Wii, not quite to its limits, but they push the Wii quite a lot. They did things on the Wii that they would not have been able to do in the GBA games, let's just say. And I like how we have some really, really big battles in this game. So also, treasure. There are a few coins, I don't really know where they are, and I don't really care, but I know that right here, where this knight is standing, there is an arm scroll. Unfortunately, we don't have any thieves, so we just have to rely on our skill stat to try and pick that up. So, positioning here, it doesn't really matter. We don't really have that much freedom in where we position everyone. And I'm actually going to be mainly just using Geoffrey and Kieran for this map. I know that seems weird. I will try and have everyone else fight at least once, but because we're not trying to kill any enemies, yeah, I'm going to just want to rush forward, and essentially I'm going to be speedrunning this chapter. Well, to the best of my ability, speedrunning. I'm not really that good at Fire Emblem speedrunning. I think we're fine here. Let's go. And we have this music again, Proud Flight, which definitely makes a lot of sense for this chapter. It definitely suits a big heroic cavalry charge. I love the feel of this map too, the fact that most of our army is cavalry and we're charging a defended position. Radiant Dawn has some really good thematic maps like this. So Geoffrey, I want to keep him moving as fast as possible every turn, and yeah, as you can see, the enemies here stand no chance against him, and they aren't even worth a lot of experience. So, you don't want that many of them to die. But you do want Geoffrey's path to be clear. This chapter will also show the true power of Kanto, because very often Geoffrey will have to take out an enemy in his path and then use his remaining movements to run further forward. As for Kieran, I wish you could change his deployment position, but you can't really. Also, Geoffrey, I'm going to have to direct you all to avoid. Kieran is actually going to unequip his weapons now. Also, yeah, he has Gamble, but Gamble's not really going to be all that useful. So let me just show what Gamble does here. So, like, for example, here's me with the Killer Axe normally, which is already going to one-round the enemy guaranteed, and here's Gamble. 51 hit rate, but a 64% crit rate isn't terrible, but I find Gamble's a lot better on classes like third-tier snipers, who have such high accuracy that they hit, like, still like 75% of the time, even with Gamble, and they critical pretty much all the time with Gamble on. Okay, speaking of gambling, I don't even know if I should use Makalov here or not. Let me just see. Yeah, see, he one-rounds most of these enemies, and I want to keep them alive. I think I'll just leave him here for now, and these two will just, I'll keep Danved here for the moment, because I want to show him fighting at least a little bit. But then I'll hold him back. One thing to get used to in this chapter, though, the enemy phases of it are very, very long. If it weren't for the fact that I'm recording and I just like to show everyone's battle animations, this is a chapter that I definitely turn off battle animations for. This is also a chapter that would really benefit from the skip enemy phase feature introduced in later games. I still remember from Gwimpage's AGDQ speedrun that this was about the point where they were talking about that. They were mentioning how the speedruns of games like Shadow Dragon and Awakening are a lot less interesting to watch than, than speedruns of this game, because you can just press the start button to skip the entire enemy phase, and while that's faster, it's definitely not as interesting to watch. I like how the enemy put up those, like, defensive barricades, too. Just like I said, I find this a very thematic chapter. And as you can see, regular javelin is enough to finish off these enemies. I really don't need the short spear. The short spear is probably going to be safe for the warriors later, because I'm pretty sure I will need to kill them. And I might need to kill the Horse Slayer guy as well. Funny thing is, when I played this chapter on my hard mode run, I actually had a lot of trouble with it, because the catapults did a lot more damage to Geoffrey than I expected, and having him running there all alone, he tended to get mobbed by enemies and slowly worn down by the sheer weight of numbers. As you can see here, these enemies really suck. Kieran doesn't even have a weapon equipped, and he's still just completely running circles around them. But he will have to get himself out of that box next turn, so that will involve him killing something. But thanks to Kanto, he won't be sacrificing any movement to do so. Because Kanto is pretty much broken in the Telius games. I was actually playing, so I'm sure that a lot of people will probably ask me about this. In some ways, I wish I'd recorded my reactions to it blind, but I have played the Vestaria Saga demo, and I was kind of surprised that Kanto was in that. Well, I mean, it wasn't called Kanto, but mounted units can use up their remaining movement after performing an attack action in that game. In fact, something to talk about regarding Vestaria Saga might end up showing itself here. I guess while we're just going through an enemy phase, there's really not that much to talk about. Geoffrey is just destroying everything in his path, and yeah, this is 200 bonus experience lost for every kill, but I like to clear the path for Geoffrey here. Because once he gets through, these guys are just going to waste their time going for the NPCs and hopefully not dying. Yeah, losing out a bit of experience here. But basically, while this enemy phase is going on... Glad that missed. Guess I can talk about something here. The Paladin criticals look kind of funny in this one. The way that horse does that almost leapfrog jump afterwards. It's pretty unnecessary, but it still looks kind of cool sometimes. Finally not doubling, which is actually a good thing, because it means that you won't die. Oh wait, no, the only reason you weren't doubling is because your javelin broke. Geoffrey will probably have to kill something this turn. Yeah, because he's trapped. In fact, that's actually not good. In fact, I think I'm going to try and free Kieran using someone else. Because I actually need Kieran to kill that guy, so Geoffrey can kill that guy and head further forward. So, in actuality, I might need to use someone like Danbit here. I really didn't want to do this, but I have to at this point. And that means a lot of enemies may end up suiciding themselves into Kieran next turn. But it kind of evens out, because if I'd equipped Kieran's weapon this turn, a lot of other enemies would have died. Also, I find that Danbit's shield looks like gone. Anyone else think that? He does look kind of cool as like a gold armored halberdier, but... Okay. 100% hit rate with an axe against a Myrmidon. That just shows you how pathetic the enemies are here. Yeah, that thing that I was wanting to talk about is that if there's anything, any gameplay mechanic that I want to come back in a future Fire Emblem game more than anything else, it's bonus experience. Because bonus experience lets you do some really cool, I know I'm overusing this term a lot, but thematic things. Like here, where I love the fact that you're encouraged to kill as few enemies as possible, because really, if you treated this map like a slaughter, you would just be proving the rebels right. Elincia wants to show people that she isn't a tyrant, and that she is worthy of ruling, and if she just slaughtered all these rebels indiscriminately, that would not send the right message. So I love the way that the game encourages you to spare the enemies and just complete this chapter as quickly as possible. Just having this be a quick surgical strike, just like it's meant to be from a story standpoint. And you couldn't do that if there weren't any bonus experience in this game. Well, I mean, I guess you saw Astrid's battle model in the last one. I know that a lot of people are going to be complaining that I'm not really using Astrid here. I'll kill that guy if Makalov attacks. I'm going to have to keep him back in that case. I probably said this in Astrid's bio, but if you don't train Astrid, like, you will need to kill a lot of the enemies here to train Astrid, and if you don't train Astrid now, the chances of you being able to train her later are extremely low, because by the time the Crimean Knights come back in Part 3, Astrid's stats compared to the enemies are extremely... Thank you all so much for exposing Astrid. I should have put you on hold. That's actually on me. Anyway. Okay, this is one of the few enemies on the map who's actually kind of a threat to Geoffrey. As you can see, he got hit there. And it only takes a few solid hits to finish Geoffrey off, so you will need to be keeping an eye on his HP. He does have a concoction, though. But the catapults as well, they tend to do a little more damage than they do in Path of Radiance. As I was saying though, bonus experience, and that's where the Vestaria Saga tangent comes in, because what I liked about the one chapter they showed in that game is that it has a lot of bonus objectives to fulfill. You can try and save the boats, you can try and chase down that thief with the jeweled dagger for extra money, you can find that village. I like how they gave some generic enemies battle dialogue if they're related to secondary objectives. The one thing that I guess wasn't such a fan of is that all of the secondary objectives in that chapter were related to money. I prefer getting extra experience, personally. That's why I really love the bonus experience system. It lets you do things like this, like reward the player for fulfilling bonus objectives in maps. In fact, in particular, I think that Fates could have really benefited from, and that's another enemy down, I didn't really want that, but oh well. I think that Fates would have really benefited from having bonus experience, because one thing that people often criticize the story for is the whole Corin never kills things deal, and how it's like Corin just magically stabs people but doesn't kill them. But if you made those chapters work like this one, where instead you got bonus experience for every enemy you didn't kill, it would make a lot more sense. And it would also encourage you to play like the story is portraying the characters. Just like bonus experience is doing here. So overall, I really liked bonus experience as a system, and I wish it came back in future Fire Emblem games. I doubt it is going to come back in Three Houses, because if anything, it looks like Three Houses is taking more influence from Echoes than much else. But I'd be pleasantly surprised if it did come back. But it's like, I don't know, like, I doubt they'd ever bring anything back from the Tellius games because they sold extremely badly, and I think the Intelligent Systems is convinced that not the fan base, but the general public must think they're awful games because they sold badly. I mean, Radiant Dawn is apparently the worst selling game in the entire series. And I mean, considering that it's the first direct sequel since Mystery of the Emblem, that feels kind of weird. You'd think people would want to play the sequel to Path of Radiance, but it was kind of like the series was approaching a point where it just wasn't that accessible to people, I guess. Geoffrey is now turned into Aaron, even though all these criticals are completely unnecessary. That's why I'm not freaking out about all these 3% crits, because they're not necessary at all. And there's an extra lance for him, which seeing as he broke his javelin earlier. And I'm killing way too many enemies down here. I really need to stop this. Thankfully you won't die. I do like getting rid of some of the enemies here. And yeah, Geoffrey's javelin is wearing out a lot. This is why I like buying him extra javelins for this chapter. Please don't die, even though, seriously, 100% hit rate against Myrmidons with an axe. Thankfully, no doubling. I forgot to show this earlier, but there's exactly one enemy that you do want to kill here, and that is a halberdier who starts up on the rampants, and he has a speed wing, which you definitely want to grab. In the speed run, that speed wing is actually necessary, because you need to make sure that Geoffrey gets a certain amount of speed. And great, another dead enemy, obviously, because you're going to get doubled, and I have weapon triangle advantage on you. But yeah, Geoffrey needs to gain a certain amount of speed before, the Crimean Knights come back in part 3, because he needs to double the boss there. Speaking of the speedrun, when I was playing this chapter on hard mode, I don't like you guys going there, because that means you might die to Geoffrey. When I was playing this chapter on hard mode, and this is the guy with the speed wing, by the way, when I was playing this chapter on hard mode, when I was having so much trouble here, I eventually decided to look up the speedrun strategy for the chapter. Because I thought, oh hey, the speedrun. I only doubled it at some point. Because I thought, you know, I'm basically speedrunning this chapter anyway, so the speedrun strategy might be helpful to me. And then it turns out that the speedrun was not only A, on easy, but B, Geoffrey had transfer bonuses. So, yeah. At this point, I kind of want Kieran to go as far as he can and then just unequip all his weapons. Because I've already killed way too many enemies down here. I've almost reduced the enemy numbers to half. There will be reinforcements, and I think the reinforcements are also worth bonus experience. Okay, so Danved's going to go back down here, unequip weapons, and use this. And yeah, now Astrid is safe. And yeah, just for, neither of which we need to... Actually, just in case the enemies decide... You know what? I'm going to set the NPCs to hold now. The strategy that I eventually used for this on hard mode was to actually have the NPCs target and go up here just to block off the Horse Slayer guy and keep him busy attacking them instead of Geoffrey. Because the Horse Slayer does do a ton of damage to Geoffrey, even though Geoffrey is very powerful from this point in the game. Well, then, as more than the enemy's really weak. And unequip Kieran means less time wasted on the enemy phase. I had to equip Geoffrey's Javelin because I wanted to be able to counterattack those warriors. Am I out of range of the catapults? If I'm in range, I'm surprised they haven't fired yet. They usually fire first thing in the turn. Like I said, it's very difficult to do this chapter as a pure pacifist run. But I like to just speed through this place with Geoffrey. Thank you so much for opening the way for Kieran. Now I don't have to kill you, which is good. Oh, great. You know, I had a feeling they'd do that, and here's the catapults. 2 damage. On hard mode, this damage does add up, though. Another 2 damage. I don't care. Yeah, the enemies have terrible hit rates in this one. Which is why I got so surprised that I was having such a hard time in this chapter on hard mode. Basically, Geoffrey kept getting attacked by guys with height bonuses. Wow, weapon triangle. I mean, I know that's a poleaxe, so that's got very bad accuracy. But even still. Something that I didn't realize until people in the comments pointed out, but the bowgun was actually not in Shadow Dragon, but in the original Dark Dragon and the Sword of Light. It was just considered a normal bow, though. And I think it was basically just a killer bow. It had a high crit rate, but that was all it really had. Don't think that it being a crossbow was reflected in its animations either, like the fact that hammers, being hammers, weren't reflected in their animations in the GBA games. Oh great, Kieran will actually need to kill something to break through there now. But I'd like for all of the enemies there to remain alive. I just realized that I haven't picked up the armor scroll yet. Well, your hit rate is decent, which is more than can be said for most things in this chapter. But I'm at least glad that you're not dying. Now, usually the halberdier starts to drop down right about now. Yeah, so reinforcements spawn there. I think they're proximity triggered, and they will try and climb down these ledges. Now, hopefully the Halberdier does too. Ah, crap, Geoffrey can't get into range. Here's where we approach the kind of tricky part of the chapter. My goal here is to have Geoffrey Brave Lance the door down, because usually you can't double doors, but with Brave weapons you can. So I like to Brave Lance that door down, and then, see, on easy mode, they have Geoffrey Canto there, and the boss kills himself against the Brave Lance. But here, I'm very likely to get obliterated by these guys, because even though the enemies here have terrible accuracy, height bonus is plus 50, so... yeah, this is not good. In fact, Kieran's probably going to have to take the long way around. And we all know how cavalry feel about forest terrain in Fire Emblem games. At least it's not Heroes, where that's totally impossible for cavalry. And that's all I'll do this turn. So yeah, I'm handling this chapter kind of weirdly. There are multiple different ways that you can do it, but this is how I like doing it. Mostly playing it as a speed run with Geoffrey and Kieran. Okay, you're moving. The only one who needs to die here... Yeah, that Halberdier. So yeah, the Halberdier starts moving now, which is good because then he tends to kill himself against Geoffrey's Brave Lance, and I feel like Geoffrey might end up getting surrounded here, though, and that would be bad because that means I can't Brave Lance the door until, yeah, maybe I should have put the weapon on him. Okay, I need to keep an eye on Marsh's HP, though. As I said earlier, Geoffrey can sometimes die here due to the sheer weight of numbers. But in fact, I actually... Oh, crap, I forgot about you. I don't think that would have been a kill, but that was a stupid move on my part. And in fact, Geoffrey had used the concoction, so he was at full HP, but, well, until the things attacked him. More reinforcements, which is good because it means more bonus experience for me. Would that have killed him? Holy sweet Ashera, it would have killed him. Yeah, that was nerve-wracking. That was bad. That's why I generally like killing that guy. Oh, and you have a short spear, so I have to equip my own short spear if I want to counterattack you. And this is where we start getting into problematic territory, because if Geoffrey gets attacked by all the catapults and the warrior and that guy and the mage, potentially, he could end up dying. But he can't actually use it. You know what I'm gonna... I don't double. That's unfortunate. Yeah, Geoffrey's base speed is kind of a problem sometimes. Kieran has the same base speed as him and is like considerably lower levels. I think I have to Brave Lance this turn. Let's see how I do this. I want to minimize enemy death at the same time, which means I'm going to have to Canto over into the heal hedge there, maybe? You don't want to get stalled for too long at the gate here, because otherwise you can get overwhelmed by the number of enemies that... the sheer numbers of enemies that you don't want to kill. Speaking of kill, I think for now Marsha might just hold the way up. And then stay where she is. Yeah, this is a bit of a weird chapter, and I apologize if it doesn't look that interesting to watch. I think I've missed the arm scroll treasure, but that's probably fine. You also want the enemies here blocking off the gate, either. And unfortunately, catapults are guaranteed hits, so being in a heal hedge is not going to really do much. And their range is a lot longer than you'd expect. This is the problem that I ran into on hard mode. They do less damage the further you are away from them, though. Now you're attacking Danbed. The funny thing is, like, Danbed would easily be seen as a parody of Odin, Selena, and Laszlo, if it weren't for the fact that he predated them. Like, if Radiant Dawn was to come out now, I'm sure people would see him as a parody of those characters. And this is that whole sheer weight of numbers thing where you need to be careful with Geoffrey. This is the problem that I ran into on my hard run. But I don't think much of the remaining enemies are a threat to him. You're definitely not a threat to him, except you're gonna die, because... Why did you even attack him? Ah, that served nothing except to rob me of bonus experience. And a couple of uses on the Brave Lance. Yeah, you guys don't really seem to be doing much. And yay, more reinforcements. That means more bonus experience for me. Okay, at this point, although I do need to watch out for that mage who's going to jump down, but at this point... I want Geoffrey to be as close to the door as he can be. I also don't want Kieran to attract too much attention to himself. So I'm still unequipping Kieran's weapons for now. In fact, it might be a good idea for Kieran to take some pressure off Geoffrey by going there and being unarmed. Let me just check something. Okay, that mage can't hit me if I go in here. I'm going to equip the short spear just to make sure that halberdier can get hit. I'm glad that the enemies who are heavily injured aren't really doing much down there, except you are now. I'm confused. I'm extremely confused. And I think Geoffrey's biorhythm is now down, so his hit rates are suffering a bit. Which I'm glad for there, because he didn't kill that thing. Oh, of course you do that. Usually Kieran ends up killing that guy. Now would be a pretty good time to have Geoffrey Brave Lance the door and then canter into range of the boss. The problem with that is that the snipers up above tend to crit him when he does that. And Geoffrey actually leveled up. Now you can finally see the lance twirl. Yeah, Geoffrey's growths aren't the best. Him getting speed here helps later on, but don't count on it. He's only got like a 30% speed growth, I think. There's a lot of people in this game with 30% speed growth, because Kieran's speed growth is pretty bad as well. In fact, now I think about it, Geoffrey might be 35, because I know Kieran's is 30. Yeah, I'm laughing now, but those catapults actually did really bad things to Geoffrey when I played my hard file. Oh, please don't die. You die. Great. I'm not really doing as much of a job of this not being a slaughter, but I am trying to spare as many enemies as I can. And yeah, at this point, Kieran pretty much just needs to be a decoy. And we have more things in... dang it. Maybe I shouldn't have equipped the short spear. Because Geoffrey does that. That's another 200 bonus experience gone. That's actually really annoying, unless I can somehow... I mean, if Geoffrey didn't double that guy, Kieran's not going to double him because they have the same speed. More? That's good. Okay, then. Geoffrey may have to do this. That's enough. And his biorhythm is now at worst, which is not good. But this is an enemy that I actually have to kill because he has the speed wing. There's the speed wing, and... oh, great, I can't really cancel a position where things won't die to Geoffrey. Unless I move Kieran to a more open spot in the area. And hope things are just attracted into attacking him because he's unarmed. I may even equip a hand axe. Dang it. Well, maybe I can have Kieran run over here. Getting a lot of enemies down here. And that's one of the paladins. Which is hopefully a good thing, because it means that he probably won't die. And at least more... Yeah, Kieran's doubling, wow. This guy must be very badly weighed down by the steel bow, or his speed must be terrible. Okay then. Really? You really have a death wish that bad? Yeah, that's always the problem with going for pacifist runs of Fire Emblem chapters, is the AI is often suicidal. Which is why back in Path of Radiance 15 I just unequip most of my weapons. Okay, at the very least I'm not equipping a, I like this to miss them. And it does terrible damage anyway. But yeah, at least I'm not equipping a ranged weapon against you. I'm gonna... I knew you'd do that, but still, I'm annoyed. And the return of the barely any damage catapults. I swear these things are actually a threat on hard mode. I know for a fact these are a threat on hard mode. I've had really, really major issues with them on hard mode before. Okay, we'll need to watch Danvin's HP too. You know, that might mean Geoffrey can't even get to the door. And that he probably needs to heal. Like I said, the sheer weight of numbers can easily bring Geoffrey down here. And there's going to be even more now. Yes, you're dead, dang it. I blame this game automatically equipping weapons when you go to test a weapon out against an enemy. And even more. I feel like what you're supposed to do is have someone go up here and then kill off the longbowmen up on the sides, but that involves killing enemies, and that's something that we really don't want to do here. Okay, at this point, I'm just going to get started on the door. And unequip my weapon this time. And I guess give them another target to attack, which is also unequipped. And let's just... Not that I need this now. Just going for that. And sorry if there's not really all that much for me to say at this point, but there sort of isn't. We're mostly just trying to not kill enemies while also trying to finish off the map. That was a bit unlucky. I'm pretty sure Kieran dying here is also a game over, and we can see here that catapults don't discriminate. They know neither friend nor foe, only destruction. I think I made that joke in Path of Radiance as well. It's a wind edge. Interesting. Kieran will go on the thicket soon. And what the speedrun does is that they have, You missed even with height advantage? Really? Oh, that's because you're attacking at 3 range with longbows. Yeah. So Geoffrey being there is much, much better than Geoffrey being right next to the boss, because that way they're attacking at 2 range with longbow, then height advantage, so they usually hit him. And snipers have critical bonuses in this game. In fact, I think this is the first time we're seeing snipers, so I might as well show what their critical bonus looks like. It's not as big as Path of Radiance, but it's still pretty significant. Oh, I was thinking that you were just catapulting your own guy, and then I realized, oh right, that's a physics star. So snipers have critical plus 10. Again, not as much as they did in Path of Radiance, though in the Japanese version, they didn't have any critical bonus in Path of Radiance. Okay, now I'm going to go for a door break. Except the problem with that is that it means that someone's probably going to end up dying. But Geoffrey's Brave Lance is a guaranteed door kill. And I think if I go into this spot where the door was, I don't think the snipers will be able to, well, they will be able to longbow Geoffrey, but they won't be able to, I mean, that's pretty much the exact same effect as here, and those two archers could potentially try and shoot Geoffrey as well, so maybe, because I could have Geoffrey go there, but I'm worried about the snipers. But it will mean that I have to spend another turn because I can't kill the boss and seize in the same turn. Oh, this really could be famous last words, but I'm going to go with a speedrun strategy. If only he knew. Yeah, you have to feel really bad for the enemies here because they don't realize that... there are some reinforcements, but the majority of them aren't coming, and Ludwig fully expects them all to die, which is why we're trying to spare as many of them as possible. And we're still sparing quite a few enemies. But I mentioned before that I completely missed the point of this chapter when I first played it, like the first time I played this game. I just treated it like a normal chapter. I didn't really realize you were supposed to avoid killing things. The dialogue should have made that obvious, but... speaking of avoiding killing things, this is almost definitely a quadruple attack, so I'm glad that missed me. Because otherwise Geoffrey might have been in danger from the snipers. Speaking of the snipers... wait, no, that's just a regular archer. Okay, then. That's weird. And given that the animations played, that must not be height bonus. So I was wrong about that. I think the snipers will be getting height bonus if they attack with their longbows. But they'll be forced to attack with the longbows at 3 range, and that will mean that they suffer an accuracy penalty. 000, so you're not even fighting a Laguz Royal. Yeah, the enemies in this chapter suck. Come on though, where's the moment we're all waiting for? Not the moment where Kieran gets hit by a hand axe, the moment where the boss suicides himself into Geoffrey. That's a good dodge though. I usually don't have the warriors survive, usually the warriors just... oh, that must not be high bonus then. 0! Nice job! Also, the catapults look really small in the battle background here. Okay, so good to know. Geoffrey, being up here is pretty much perfectly safe. I thought that the snipers got height bonus from here. Didn't actually realize that before, so I learn new things about this game every day. Well, every day that I actually play it. So, being a commander, Geoffrey has special dialogue against this guy. I've been trying to be lenient, but all of you guys are being stupid and are attacking Geoffrey when he has a Brave Lance equipped. Well, unfortunately for you... and why are you calling Alincia as a tyrant? She's the exact opposite of a tyrant. Yeah, anyway, this guy tends to crumble pretty quickly against Geoffrey's Brave Lance. Well, goes down to 1 HP, unfortunately. Yeah, if Geoffrey had gained strength from that last level up, he would have won round of him. That's kind of a shame. And I can't get Kieran in there, so I guess this chapter is going to take an extra turn. I could speed this up by setting the animations from map only, by turning the animations for Kieran completely off rather than just doing the map, which is an option that you only have access to in a second playthrough or more. Kind of like in Path of Radiance, how you can't speed up movement by holding down the A button until... Well, at least you didn't fully heal him. So really, that's the exact same effect. I'll still have to use up Geoffrey's attack action to kill you. And yeah, Brave Weapon's one of the few times that you can have both sides doubling. Because, yeah, this guy doubles Geoffrey, but Geoffrey is a Brave Weapon. But anyway, goodbye. I'm using a lot more Brave Weapon uses than I usually do. And yeah, Paragon means bosses are still worth a lot of experience, even though his regular lackeys weren't. I wish I got that earlier, because that would mean that you would have been dead last phase. We also get the Wu Dao, which is kind of weird. It's actually a little worse than a Killing Edge in this game. It has 1 less might and 10 less critical. It does have a little more accuracy, but that's all it has, and it's a bit lighter, but weight doesn't really mean anything at this point in the game. I'm going to go ahead and send the Speedman to the Convoy, even though we will have that. In fact, actually, no, it's a good thing that I send the Speedman to the Convoy, because we will have access to Geoffrey in the next chapter, but... let's see, can you... Oh, we can get to that figure, I guess. But... like I said, we will have access to Geoffrey in the next chapter, but not on the preparations. So sending that to the Convoy now might be helpful to us later. So this took a little longer than I thought it would. But I have hopefully spared quite a few enemies. Thanks to unarmed Kieran down here being a magnet. He still takes quite a bit of damage from magic. I'll just hold down A for the entirety of this turn just to speed up the enemies moving. And that is... Well, you have a 1% chance of hitting now. Not that that's going to help you. Well, actually, no, it's a 1 in 1,000 chance of hitting because of True Hit. True Hit is the most obviously visible with a hit rate of 1, because you need... The only way that hits is if both RNs roll a 1, and that's a, and since they're both out of 100, that's a 1 in 1,000 chance. So, 1% is actually 0.1%. I hope Kieran is... he's probably going to be fine this turn. I'll check on the status screen, but I'm pretty sure Kieran is also a game over if he dies. I think I found that out the hard way when I was playing this chapter on hard mode. I hope I spared enough of these enemies. Yeah, if I was going crazy with every character and equipping all of my weapons, all these enemies would be dead by now. So unfortunately it means I didn't really get to show much of Danved, Astrid, and Nakalov, but I might get to show them a little bit during the 2 endgame. Because the next chapter will in fact be 2 endgame. Part 2 is very short, and this chapter is over now. But let me just quickly check. Yep, Kieran dying is a game over, and 32 enemies left, so that is more than half of them saved. That's going to be a good amount of bonus experience for me, I'll definitely take that. And, yeah, like I said, not really that much else to do, except... there's no way I'm getting the arm scroll, but that's fine. So let's see. Overall, a very unique chapter. No, they haven't been routed. The exact point of this chapter was to not rout them. And yes, some managed to escape, more than half of them, which is good. Yep, this was entirely a ruse. We fell right into their trap. You could probably figure this out from the pre-chapter dialogue, but yeah, they planned to lure us in here while they sent the main force to attack Elincia at the capital, where she's less defended. Thankfully, our main force is entirely cavalry, so we should be able to get back to Elincia quickly. But yes, they did mention that Lucia had countermeasures. Geoffrey actually has a generic commander here. Good to know, Ludwig probably has an ambush waiting for them. Well, we have Har defending the castle, so we're perfectly safe. We didn't suspect it, though. That's part of the countermeasures. Elincia is not actually at the capital. I like how in this part we see gambits going between both sides. Yes, you see, you are our contingency plan. Then I give you free permission to wreak your brokenness upon the enemy. May Ashura have mercy upon their souls. So that's a lot of bonus experience from the Red Army surviving. We've got a massive ton now. And that's why Lucia isn't playable for most of Part 2, because that happens. And that's going to be very important going into the next chapter. I forgot that, yeah, Ludwig is even creepier than I remember. Like, the fact that he stalks, like, him being a stalker towards Lucia actually allowed him to figure out all of her plans as well is just... yeah. However, next chapter we will actually be dealing with Ludwig personally, because next time it'll be Part 2 Endgame. Yeah, Part 2 is very short, but I'm really looking forward to Part 2 Endgame, because it is by far my favourite chapter in this game, and maybe my favourite chapter in the entire series, and it has my favourite map theme in the entire series. So join me next time for Elincia's Gambit, a chapter that many fans consider one of the best chapters in all of Fire Emblem, and it's a sentiment that I wholly agree with.